Dempsey.
Dempsey. It has the ring of history, of Americana, of a gaudy era that will probably never come this way again.
The lyrical nickname, the Manasseh Mauler, referred to his Colorado birthplace, but the family left before he could walk. The Dempseys were wanderers. Writer Jack Fisk.
He was part Indian, Irish, Scotch. He had the ethnic makeup that reached a lot of people. He was a coal miner. He was a hobo. He rode the freight trains. He fought in saloons. He came up the hard way.
Before the world knew him, he was a mama's boy who could be mean when angered. He was a young hustler who earned nickels and dimes fighting in mining town saloons. That all changed when Doc Kearns became his manager. Together, they reinvented boxing. They turned it into big business. Writer-historian Bert Sugar.
Paul Gallico called the 20s the golden age of sports. And the first member of the pantheon of the golden age of sports happened July 4th, 1919, in Toledo, Ohio, where Jack Dempsey knocked down Jess Willard, the heavyweight champion, 7 times in the first round, and almost out. He had made this climb to become our second hero after John L. Sullivan.
Hollywood called with a $50,000 offer for a film titled Daredevil Jack. He earned more cash cavorting on the vaudeville circuit. The boxer became a barnstormer. Doc Kearns' son, Jack Kearns.
I remember my father telling me one time that this young guy came in and challenged Dempsey to a fight, and he gave Dempsey a bad time, and then he got hit on the chin and he went down. He talked to my father and he said, "Look, Doc, I can do that every night." He says, "I can fight like hell, but only for about a round. And I'll meet you in Oshkosh or Kenosha or anywhere you want to go, and I'll stay 2 towns out in front of you. I'll go bang a few guys around the town and get a reputation, and then I'll show up for the night of the fight, and I'll make a good fight of it with Jack." And that's what they did, and they took the show on the road, and that's vaudeville.
The Manasseh Mauler became the common man's idol. Bert Sugar.
Dempsey used to come in without a robe, without socks, with a Super Bowl haircut. Dempsey was unique. He snarled. He had that patent leather black hair, 5 o'clock shadow, and he fought like the avenging angel of death.
Historian Hank Kaplan.
People looked up to him because of that style. It was rugged, it was power, it was toughness, his ability to fire away and stand in under fire against bigger men, and the finality with which he completed his contests.
His career barely survived the discovery of this publicity photo. It showed Dempsey in street shoes pretending to help the war effort. Though he had been given a deferment, Dempsey was now seen as a draft dodger. Jack Kearns.
It almost was devastating to him, just personally, and it took him a long time to overcome that. There's really nothing anybody could have done about something like that. But I think that's one of the reasons that Dempsey's personality was such that he wanted to be the good guy, because there he was the consummate bad guy. And he made every effort not to make another mistake from that point on. So did my father.
Dempsey's deception soured the American public. Enormous crowds paid to see him lose. In boxing's first $1 million gate, Dempsey crushed George Carpentier. It wasn't until 1926 that Dempsey haters got what they wanted, as he lost the title to Tunney. A year later, Tunney beat Dempsey again. But in the 7th round, Tunney, knocked flat, was saved by the famous long count. Tunney got up to win by decision. Hank Kaplan.
He became more popular after the second loss than he ever was before. And now after these 2 valiant efforts against Gene Tunney, he won his place back in their hearts again.
You know, son, that fight will go down as the battle of the long, long count. He didn't win, but he's still a great favorite and the idol of millions.
Is he fighting anymore?
No, Jack gave up the ring after that fight.
How I'd love to meet him.
Fight manager Marv Jansen.
He was my idol. In fact, I told the kids that he was my dad.
and they wouldn't believe me. I had to beat up on several of them to make sure that they believed that I could have been Jack Dempsey's kid.
The unpopular champion became a popular ex-champion. His restaurant on Broadway became a New York City landmark where he dispensed autographs and kind words. And he used his celebrity to help those who couldn't help themselves. Dempsey died a folk hero in 1983. Jack Kearns.
I think the thing that made Jack Dempsey the larger-than-life character is the same thing that made Babe Ruth, the same thing that made a Ty Cobb. I think it's the same thing that made a Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I think it's just that they were meant to be. They're that charismatic person. In Dempsey's case, I think he grew into it. He discovered it was there for him, and he accepted it, and he developed it. And he had a combination of being with the most colorful boxing manager in the history of boxing.
Burt Sugar.
In a day and age when Jack Dempsey was one of the have-nots, he turned into one of the most caring haves in the history of the world, let alone sports.